Amazing.
That's
Really.
true. That's true.
Good afternoon. So I'm happy to be back with you. I'm happy to see people are logging in. I'm happy to see people that on the YouTube are enjoying the stream. And I'm happy to welcome Luigi. Luigi and his staff. I see also Laura Lipuma, who is connected, are actually friends of Random Power. We have been meeting them July last year, and we were supposed to stay there for 20 minutes and we stayed for 2 hours, which is a good indication that actually they like what they're doing and they are supporting us. And also the fact that Luigi is always one other person in charge actually at Sanpaolo Innovation. He's actually willing to give his speech and to tell us about the way finance, industry and research are getting together to really promote innovation and to create value, which is not actually the standard way in many countries. You see innovation by the universities to say patent and license and go, but it's something more. So Luigi, thank you once more, and the floor is yours.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Massimo. Thanks a lot to Professor Kacha and Random Power and all the organizers for inviting us over. It's very exciting. Massimo was telling me that the hackathon is going very well. It's very exciting. So I'm really pleased to hear that. Um, Before sharing the presentation, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Luigi Ruggerone. I'm currently holding the position of Director of Trend Analysis and Applied Research at a company which is called Intesa Sanpaolo Innovation Center. The company is actually a small company. The staff is only made up of less than 70 people, 70 people. So it's a small company in a very large banking group. The banking group itself has more than 80,000 staff. So we are really a small, a small company in a very large banking group. By the way, we are not a bank. We provide services. In particular, we provide services in terms of text counting, technology transfer, and also, as it will become clear, hopefully at the end of my presentation, we also provide services in terms of applied research, especially in the artificial intelligence space and in the neuroscience space. And we provide these services both to internal department of the bank or other companies within the banking group, but we also sell these services and provide these services in support of our clients, of the clients of the bank, that are keen to introduce innovation, that are keen to explore innovative technologies and innovative techniques to make their line of production more efficient, less costly, more, better experience for users, and so on and so forth. So just give me a few couple of seconds to share the presentation. I hope that by now, I think you can see my presentation now. Hopefully you can.
Yes,
Just,
yes.
okay, great. Thanks, Massimo. So let me go through this. The first slide is actually a slide that we only recently added to what is the institutional presentation that we normally share with the audiences when we are invited in workshops or hackathons like this one. But I think this is very interesting. This slide has two charts that describe the adoption of innovation in normal times versus adoption of innovation during a crisis. Now, we all know that we are unfortunately living through and going through a very deep crisis. It's not a war, uh, luckily enough, but it's a very serious pandemic. Now, during and throughout the crisis, normally what happens is that people and institutions and companies tend to become early adopters. Most of them tend to become early adopters of innovation. So in a crisis, people and institutions and companies tend to be keener in adopting new technologies. So the curve that is depicted by the black line tends to be more squeezed towards the vertical axis. Why? Because people and institutions during a crisis tend to be more reactive and try to find ways of solving the major issues, of solving difficult issues that they need to tackle throughout a crisis. So that's very interesting. And this is actually something that we also experienced. Being a small company that sells innovative, innovation in general to customers. At the beginning of the pandemic, we thought that we would be going through an extremely difficult year. Not that the year is an easy one, certainly, but certainly, the reaction that we have seen from our clients and potential clients has been extremely encouraging. We have actually received a higher degree of interest for our services and for innovation than, for example, the last couple of years. Meaning that also, our day-to-day, day-in, day-out experience actually is very consistent with this, theoretical description, graphical description of what happens during crisis. So we are a sort of, living proof that, as a matter of fact, during a crisis, people and institutions tend to become early adopter of innovation. This is obviously very interesting. And so let me now move to the more institutional presentation. So who we are, what is our name, and what we do. In a nutshell, Intesa Sanpaolo Innovation Center has, this long-term vision, has this long-term mission of trying to turn innovation into a force for good. So in a force for good, this is a very very general terms, but these general terms are declined. We try to decline and transform this general concept into what we do every day, into helping innovation. Sorry, Viviana, sono in call. Viviana, sorry, sorry. This is the good and bad of being live. um, so we really try to transform innovation in more efficiency, in better well-being for people, in better work conditions for labor forces, and so on and so forth. What is our mission? Our mission basically is that of exploring new business models, or the business models that we believe will be prevalent in the future, try and discover them and treat them as they were new assets, as they were assets. We actually feel that innovation is an asset for ourselves, and is an asset for our clients. So we try to add and put value, and we try to make these assets become productive, and provide to us and also to our clients good and interesting returns. Why we do that? Obviously, we do that not just because we have a philanthropic approach. Well, we do have a philanthropic approach, but that's not the end of the story. Obviously, by introducing and helping our clients to introduce technological innovation, we make them more competitive, we make them more solid. So as a matter of fact, and at the end of the day, if we make our clients stronger, we also make ourselves stronger. So we want to be an engine, a driving force for innovation in the Italian economy, but also given the dimension and the mission of the banking group, which is certainly a European level group, we also do that for our continent and for the world in general. How do we do that? We do that through four main streams, through four main activities. The first line of activities is that of enhancing and providing orchestration for know-how of innovation. So we discover innovation, and we disseminate the innovation that we discover, and the innovation that we believe will be prevalent, and it's more solid and more technically viable. So we enhance innovation, and we orchestrate the diffusion of this innovation. We help startup by providing development services. Development services go through periods of incubation, acceleration, but also periods in which we provide services in terms of business development. So we help startup and new technologies to find new clients, to find partners, both industrial and also financial partners. So we provide contacts and relationship with potential investors, but also with industries that might be potentially interested in the innovation that we discover, and we believe it's going to be solid in the future. On the other side, we also, we build this bridge between startup and innovation and the corporates, and we build this bridge and we go across this bridge in two ways, from startup to large corporates, but also by helping large corporates to scout and find innovation that might be helpful for them. So we build a bridge and we go across this bridge in two ways. And obviously, we have a department which is also dedicated to providing, diffusion and of innovation culture and development of innovation culture. Because without innovation culture, obviously, you really lose steam, you really lose focus, and you lose momentum. Having focus and momentum and steam is actually of paramount importance if you want to spread around innovation and make it viable for for large corporates and for the public in general. Okay, I normally, when I go through this presentation, I normally skip this. I don't find it particularly intriguing, so maybe next time I will simply scrap this slide overall. Having said, the four ways in which we do our job, today I want to focus in particular on how we disseminate and diffuse and work on innovation through our technology labs. Because this is really a very special way. To my knowledge, there is no other banking group in the world that does this. There's no other banking group in the world that has set up technology labs that work together with corporate in applied research projects, and that's precisely what we do. And so I want to put the emphasis today on these two labs that we have created in the last 2-3 years. We have established within the Innovation Center two labs. One is the Artificial Intelligence Lab, and the other one is the Neuroscience Lab. For both of them, we have chosen, since obviously, we do have data scientists, we do have engineers, we do have a PhD in physics and maths. Obviously, we cannot possibly have all the skills and capabilities that are needed to run and to keep alive this kind of technology lab. So first of all, in order to make these labs more effective, we decided to partner with two important academic and research partners in Italy. When it comes to artificial intelligence, we have partnered with a foundation which is called ISI Foundation, which is headquartered in Turin, but also has a quarters and offices in New York. Some of you may have heard of or even met in person the chairman of and the founder of ISI Institution, who is Professor Mario Rasetti, who is a very well-renowned professor of physics in Turin, but he also taught in Princeton in the US. And he served for a few years as one of the consultants of President Obama, of one of the innovation consultants of President Obama when he was sitting in the White House. When it comes to neuroscience, our scientific and research partner is AMT, Scuola Alti Studi di Lucca, which is another postdoc and postgrad research center based in Tuscany in Italy, which has been, which was founded, I think, 15 years ago. I think this year they celebrate their 15th birthday. And it's a school that in the last few years has been able to attract a lot of a lot of very well-known researcher, and has been focusing very much on medicines, the neuroscience, and so we have these two very strong partners. Um, you know, uh, this is really important because without these two strong and solid and long-standing scientific partners, our tech labs would not be able to work as effectively as they had in the last 3 years since their inception. How do these innovations? Oh, by the way, I really enjoy a very interactive session. So if you feel that you want to ask questions, or if you feel you have a comment, please do interrupt me, and turn on your microphone, and feel free to make your comment, or ask your question. I'm very happy to address it immediately. So this is the way both technology labs work at the Innovation Center of Intesa Sanpaolo. First of all, we are normally called when there is a complex problem that cannot be solved through the standard technologies and through the standard mechanisms that you can find in the market. So normally we are considered as the Mr. Fix-It of the situation. So I know our colleagues, and then it will become more clear when I come to describe some of the examples of the applied research that we have carried out and that we have already completed. Normally our colleagues or the client looks for a ready-made solution in the market and cannot find it. So when they cannot find it, they pick up the phone, they call us, and they say, "Hey, I have this problem. Apparently, nobody has tackled this problem before. Maybe you can help us." So we are called, we are basically, their last resort. So we are normally faced with very complex problems. And what we do, first of all, we analyze the problem. We very transparently and very openly answer whether we have a chance to solve the problem or not. And if we do, the first thing we try to do is to acquire the skills that we believe are needed to solve that very problem, to hire them from wherever they are. And again, in this, so this is the new skills development and the acquisition of new skills. This is very important to us. And how we do that? Well, again, here, the role, obviously, of the two scientific partners is crucial, because if you are a professor of, the physics of materials in Southeast Asia, and you see an international call for a researcher in that field from Intesa Sanpaolo, you're very likely not to answer to it. But if you see a call coming from and signed by Professor Rasetti, then obviously you feel, at least you look into it with some interest. So our scientific partners are capable to attract researchers from basically all over the world. And this is very important to us because these researchers that are then ultimately, hired and remain here for 10, 12 months, on one side, they are able to help us in solve the complex problem that we are tackling. And secondly, they bring with them their knowledge and they share this knowledge with us. So we also become more knowledgeable. We also become more skilled, and this is part of this process of disseminating knowledge and disseminating new skills and disseminating innovation.
So Luigi, just to make sure I got the point,
Please.
your action is essentially demand driven rather than technology pushed.
It is demand driven, even though it has happened at times that in our technology scouting activity, we come across interesting solutions, like random power. I'm not
Yes.
ashamed to say that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it has happened also in the past that we ourselves have been promoters of innovation towards some of our clients or towards some of the departments of the bank. So
Okay.
what you say is true 90% of the case, but in 10% of the cases, it works the other way around.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks. Um, so then it comes other two important pivots around which our technology lab round and organize the work. So we, in order to solve the problem, we create a new, and thanks to the skills that are brought in by the researchers that join the research group, we create new technologies and we create infrastructures which are entirely dedicated to that very task, to that very challenge. So this is also somehow a creation of new technologies and new assets. And we also have specifically designed spaces where research is carried out. Research is, in our view, is something that really needs sometimes to be, to be separated from the rest. We're not talking about an ebony tower, not at all, but sometimes we need a time and a space where researchers meet and discuss and produce knowledge and produce innovation. The last two important steps are that when this innovation and the solution the solution to the problem is created, we obviously it's as if we are creating a new asset. So we deploy this asset to the external client or to the internal department that has engaged us at the very beginning in the first place to solve the complex problem. So we help them in the deployment of the solution. And when the solution is particularly interesting and particularly innovative, we also try to protect it. And by the way, I'm very, I take a lot of pride in saying that despite we are a small company in a large banking group, we already have 4 patents pending. I'm really very proud of that because, patents is not something that normally have a lot to do with bankers, or I should say bankers do not have a lot to do with patents, but we do, and we are very proud of that. And this is obviously part of our job, of our work, and part of protecting innovation, because we believe that innovation can also be treated as an asset. So that's the way, in general, the two technology labs work. Um, going a little bit more going into a little bit more details. So basically, there is a phase in which there is a definition of the challenge. So we are normally called up when, like I said, when there is a very complex problem to solve. And here in the challenge definition, I think this is probably where a good chunk of the value added that we bring to the table is, because like I said, we are a small team, but we have enormously skilled people working with us at the Innovation Center of Intesa Sanpaolo. So we have proved to be very capable so far in translating, the problem that comes from industry. So it's expressed in an industrial way. We translate into a language which is understandable by science, by researchers, by academics. So we are a sort of membrane, a sort of translator that translates corporate language into research language when we define the challenge. And
And you
when we
have to do
defined
it
the
also the other way around, which is more
and then yes,
easier.
so exactly. So
Being
at
a
the end of
researcher, I know what it means.
absolutely. And at the end of the process, we, when it comes to, and you see it at the bottom of the page, when it comes to integrating and developing the product, we do exactly the opposite. So we transform and translate the
Yes,
academic and research language into a corporate language. So we are, put it very trivially, even if there's a lot of work behind it, we are translator, but we are, we have proven to be, very, very skilled translator, and that is why we're very happy with our job. So,
as a
um,
researcher who used to work actually with companies, I know that one of the major initial difficulties that you're speaking different languages.
absolutely, yeah,
So having somebody like you who can assist the two parties in getting along is absolutely essential. Then you learn by doing, but
exactly,
especially
yeah,
when you take the initial steps, it's very, very tough.
it is, yeah. So let me go. Okay, here is a summary, a snapshot of what are the major the major streams along which we have worked so far in the artificial intelligence lab. You can see complex network science, machine and deep learning. We have performed algorithms for optimization. We have seen a strengthening of the importance of the data viz and interactive reporting. This is proving to be a very powerful tool when you obviously when you have to show big data to non-technical people. This is a very effective way of bringing them to their side, to your side of the table. We have a small team of researchers that also work with humanoid robots. This is very interesting. We actually have carried out applied research, when we have utilized humanoid robots to interact and to help to help autistic children to learn how to interact better with the external world. So that is also an example of how we turn innovation into good. We're trying to help with technology to help people. We have a team. Well, we have worked on computer vision in privacy preserving, and surprise, surprise, as Massimo knows very well, we have also have some
Oh,
interest in
yes.
homomorphic and functional encryption.
Good. This is one of the
Uh,
main lines where we will hopefully be working together.
hopefully, yes, yes. We are very hard at it in this. So if we see there is value, we are not put off very easily. So we will
Good.
carry on. Um, all right, and these are the the clients that we have worked for in the AI lab. So obviously, one of our major clients has been the finance and investment department of the bank. Here, bear with me, I cannot be very specific because first of all, we're talking about proprietary data here, and we're also talking about one of the four patents pending. So I can only share so much with you, but just to give you an idea of what we have done with the finance and investment arm of the bank, we have helped them create an algorithm that allows them to calculate a hedging portfolio, a portfolio that protects the proprietary trading portfolio of the bank, the equity proprietary trading portfolio of the bank. So we have created with them an algorithm that calculates a hedging portfolio, and it takes only 3 seconds to calculate this hedging portfolio and takes into account more than 300 risk factors. And this comes after when they approached us, they had another algorithm that would take around 20 minutes to run and calculate the portfolio, taking into account only 6 risk factors. So you can see that our support in terms of machine learning has reduced massively the computational time from 20 minutes to 3 seconds. And above all, within this much shorter computational time, we are now considering, 300 risk factors against previously 6 risk factors considered. So we are working with them with finance investments. We are working with the anti-financial crime department. I already mentioned the humanoid robots. We have worked with autistic children. We have done some work in cybersecurity, obviously risk management. We have an interesting paper that came out recently this year, in which we use network analysis to understand and to model the spreading of credit risk between in industry and financial institutions that trade with each other. So we have applied network science to this kind of environment, and we have obtained very interesting results. So we have a paper out on this, and we are also working with insurance companies. When it comes to other industries, obviously this is where external clients come in the picture. And just to give you an idea of what kind of other industries we have worked with, we have worked with a utility company, and we have helped them generate an algorithm that allows them to forecast the peaks of demand and supply of energy in the grid. And again, artificial intelligence here has been crucial in elaborating and analyzing big data, and in providing an algorithm, a dashboard that has proven to be extremely helpful for them. We are now in the process of working in a completely different environment, very fascinating. We are now starting a project with a production company, a company that produces texts and images for documentaries, for movies, for TV series, and we are helping them to understand what are the major topics people are talking about, so that the text and the images can drive them, and can drive their choices in terms of what topics to choose and what images to choose to make them more effective and more appealing for the public watching TV and watching movies. So as you see, we are able to work also with clearly non-financial institutions, and this is the beauty of our technology labs. Let me move on. This is a list of, obviously we disseminate the knowledge. So we use workshop. When we close projects, sometimes we share the results with the public through workshops. But this workshop also serve the purpose of providing us with new ideas and new possible challenges. For example, if you look here at the bottom right part of this slide, you can see here algorithmic pricing. We had a very exciting workshop from a full professor of economics in Florence, who walked us through algorithm that calculate prices in some industries, and that was extremely fascinating. So we may be thinking of doing something in this space. So we use these workshops both as a dissemination object, as dissemination means, but also as as something where we have the chance to find new ideas and to explore new ways of doing innovation. Let me turn now to the neuroscience lab. Here you have a snapshot of what are the works that we have done with the neuroscience lab, bearing in mind that the way the neuroscience lab works is exactly the same in terms of how we structure the challenge, how we analyze the challenge, how we recruit experts, and how we provide the solution. So the bulk of the structure is the same, but obviously the topics are extremely different. We work a lot when it comes to neuroscience. We work a lot with the human resources department of the bank, but not just the bank. We help enhance the user experience for large retailers. We do a lot on neural and behavioral data visualization. And we have done a very interesting work with arts and culture. Let me see if there is something. Okay, yeah, these are the industries we have worked with. I think it's worth mentioning, if you look here at the bottom right part of this slide, when it comes to arts, aesthetic, and cultural heritage, we have done a very interesting research project with a museum in Milan, in Italy, which is the Last Supper Museum. As you may know, in Milan, there is a very important fresco which was painted by Leonardo da Vinci when he was working in Milan in his Milanese period. This fresco is one of the best known and most famous masterpieces in the human cultural heritage. The director of the museum approached us saying that they were not terribly happy. Can you still see my presentation? Because oh yeah, now
Yes,
it is.
yes, yes, we
Yeah,
do.
okay, great. So the director of the museum approached us, saying that they were not terribly happy with the experience that the visitors to the painting were having. They thought that there were large margins for improving the user experience and the utilization, the fruition of the masterpiece. So what we did, we took a sample of around 40 visitors. We put on them a helmet that measures the electric activity of our brain. We put on them what we call eye tracker that measures the movement of your pupil of your eyes, measures the time that your eyes remain on a particular part of the painting, and so on and so forth. And we also put on each of them a stress bracelet measuring in a way the emotion that the masterpiece was generating in each of the visitors. We put together this data, and we gave this data back to the museum. And after our analysis and our gathering of data and our presentation of the data, they decided to change the approach to the masterpiece, to the painting. But they also decided to change the light that illuminates the painting, because it was evident that the light was not good enough, and was actually determining the fact that some of the visitors, well, a lot of the visitors, would overlook and would just simply not notice some peculiar parts of the painting that are actually very important, and that are actually worth underlying. So this is I think a very good example of how neuroscience and how applied research can actually be applied to a very concrete issue, generating a reaction in terms of a very practical reaction in terms of how, for example, a painting is presented to the public. So this is the kind of experience and the kind of applied research and the kind of contamination between research and industry that we have generated. Same as before, we do the same also for neuroscience. So we have a series of workshops, neuroscience workshops, and that's it. I just wanted to give the audience a few minutes for commenting or for a Q&A session, and here it is. Thanks a lot. I hope that you found at least parts of this presentation useful and interesting. Thanks a
Thank you,
lot.
Luigi. No, it's definitely a very interesting model. Me, as a person, as I said, as a researcher working in applied physics project, I'm always a little bit unbalanced and uncertain about the demand-driven rather than the technology push solution. Because of course, researchers are very, very often they fall in love with what they're doing, and this is going to naturally in a very technology pushed approach. However, I have to say, after 20 years of experience, if you just stop and listen to people that are telling about the problems that they have and the challenges that they have to face, very often then you go walking or swimming or going in the wood or playing skiing, as you see that actually this question is triggering something new. So the fact that you are open to you're implementing this solution is very, very intriguing. And again, as an academic person, I say that the fact that your own company is working together with two relevant institutions is again making me proud because this is working well. I have one trivial question. How long it is since you started?
We started basically 2.5 years ago. So
Okay, so it's
this is the
very
third. We're
fresh,
into
very,
yeah,
very
very
fresh.
fresh. Yes. So
Yeah.
we're actually living in the third year. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And do you plan actually to, given the success that you have, do you plan actually to extend this experience to more labs or and to more disciplines and building up really a network?
The short answer to your question is yes,
Okay.
but then the equation I have to solve is actually a constrained maximization process.
Of course.
Obviously, provided that we have very binding constraints in terms of the resources that we can mobilize. Obviously this is something that we really cannot overlook, but certainly yes, we have been discussing to expand this experience also to other subjects. Not surprisingly, also from my presentation, robotics is one of
Mhm.
those.
Sure.
And we are actually squeezing our mind to try and find ways of making the two labs working more together.
Yes.
So far, neuroscience and artificial intelligence have worked very well independently or quite
Mhm.
independently. But every time I go and I talk to people, every time I think carefully about it, I see more and more
Sure.
overlaps between
Yeah, yeah. They have
neuroscience
to go
and big
together.
data. So
Exactly.
the other idea that we have is to try and work more jointly and have the two labs
Okay.
work more jointly on the same research
Yeah.
projects.
Another question that I have,
Sure.
which is absolutely relevant to me. You mentioned patent submissions that you have.
Mm.
So usually, since you're triggered by an external request, I believe you have also to cook up a good way to work, balancing the financial contribution by the enterprise, which is posing the question, and then the intellectual property. So you have I believe you have a strategy, meaning the two opposite extremes are the company pays and the company has the IP, and the opposite is you have a minimal contribution by the IP is mine. So you find a balance which is project dependent, or you have a general vision you try to stick to.
Um, it's a linear combination of the
Okay.
two. No, the general approach is that we would like as much as possible to keep the intellectual property within our institution. So
Okay.
the general approach is this. So we do our best to keep the property with us.
Mhm.
So we are willing to give up some of the potential revenues, provided that we can keep the intellectual property for us and with us.
Yeah.
But having said that, sometimes it happens that we work on subjects that are actually very far away from our own cup of tea, if I can
Mhm.
put it in a very colloquial term. For example, I mentioned that we are now starting to work with a production with a production company. So in that case, we do not see as a major obstacle, if the client insists in having the intellectual property, then it's not a big deal for us to give up the intellectual
Okay.
property and leave it with the
And in
client.
such
So
a case, you prefer selling rather than licensing.
exactly, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Very interesting. Another question again on the academic side. How many people in average you have working on your projects?
That's also a very good question. On average, we have normally um, 1.5 to people from our side per
Mhm.
project, plus a number of researchers. Normally, we have a junior or semi-senior and a senior researcher from the academic, from the research institution. So overall, we have on average, say, between 4 and 5 full-time equivalents
Okay. It's
working
not
on
bad,
each
huh?
project.
It's a
No,
good
it's quite good.
workforce. But they are resident in the partner institutions
Yeah, well,
or at your
two
premise. So probably your people are at your premises. Huh? Okay.
exactly, and the others are sitting with the institution. Actually, to be very honest with you, when I mentioned that we believe that research should have its own location, dedicated location, um, until the outburst of the pandemics, we actually had in Turin a location which was entirely dedicated for researchers.
If
Not
it is in
anymore.
the same place or you have your
No.
headquarters, then I'm ready to fly to
Yeah.
join you because it's a fantastic place.
No, it wasn't in this building. It was in another building. But then, obviously, since the physical presence became a problem, became an issue,
Oh,
we decided to give up, to give it up. So we still keep a strong physical presence in Lucca. So the Neuroscience Lab has a strong base also in Lucca, but it's because that's the headquarter of the school.
of course,
So
yes,
yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Okay, I don't know whether there is any other question by the people, obviously the people on the YouTube channel. I think they can actually.
Maybe sorry, Laura, to
Yes,
whom
Laura?
I get a lot of credit for helping me putting together this presentation and teaching me, all that I know about artificial intelligence. Maybe I don't know, Laura, if you have any comments or anything to say, or we want to open it up to the audience. Laura, we cannot hear you. I know.
Could you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, now we can.
Yes,
Yes,
now we
yeah.
can.
No comment. It's perfect, my boss. In
Thank you.
explaining our job.
So you did well, Laura. You did well. No,
The
apart
only
from
comment is this.
okay.
Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. So anybody else? I see in the audience even here, Lori or maybe Ashish or Siddharth, do you have any question to Luigi?
No, the one I had was related to the IP, but you did it already. You asked already.
Okay, I anticipated you, Lorenzo. I'm sorry.
Fine, it's fine.
And also for the competitors who are assisting, actually, the way you can envisage collaboration with Sanpaolo Innovation is actually very interesting. Whether you're an advanced researcher, whether you're a startup researcher, it's a new model. And it's very well tailored, it's working well, and you should keep an eye on it. Okay, good.
Thank you for the encouragement. Thanks a
Let,
lot.
let,
Thank
let
you.
me let me thank you once more. It's very interesting what you have been reporting. We keep in touch and we will let you know
Absolutely.
obviously also the outcome of the hackathon.
Great,
Have a good
absolutely.
day.
Thank you, and you. Bye
Thank
bye. Take
you. Bye
care,
bye.
everyone. Bye bye. Cheers.
Bye
Ciao.
bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.